Remove the side panel and disconnect the battery. This may be slightly different depending on the year of your motorcycle. Lift the bike up on the center stand. And using a jack and a block of wood, lift the front of the motorcycle from under the engine. Lift the wheel just off the ground and loosen the upper and lower shock bolt hardware. If the height is adjusted correctly, the hardware should be loose and easy to remove without binding. Keep the hardware and remove the inner spacer for the shock. It'll go in the new shock. Put some blue Loctite and a washer on the lower hardware. Make sure that the shock is orientated correctly with the threaded portion facing the wheel. Install the lower shock bolt. Install the sleeve and install the top hardware. Once the hardware is in place, tighten up the upper and lower bolts and then torque both upper and lower mounting hardware to 36 foot-pounds. Repeat for the right side. The only difference here is you'll be contending with the front brake line bracket that holds the brake line on the top bolt. Just slide it aside until installation of the new hardware of the new shock. Don't forget the sleeve. Apply blue Loctite and a washer to the lower bolt. Make sure it's orientated correctly and put in a position. Don't forget the sleeve. Put the brake line holder back in place with the top hardware and snug everything up. Go back and torque everything when you're done to 36 foot-pounds for the upper and lower bolts on the front. Lower the jack and move to the sidecar. Jack the sidecar up just an inch or two off the ground. Remove the shovel if your bike is equipped with one. Loosen the lower shock hardware, the upper shock hardware. And remove the shock. Apply blue Loctite and a washer for the lower mounting position. Make sure that's orientated correctly. The threaded part always faces the wheel. Install the lower shock hardware. You may need to press down on the wheel a little bit to get the top aligned correctly installed. Use the stock hardware and put back in place. No blue Loctite is needed here because it's got a lock washer. Tighten everything down and torque the lower position to 36 foot-pounds and the top to 18 foot-pounds. If equipped, reinstall your shovel. And lower the sidecar. At the rear of the bike, on the center stand, the swing arm will be limited in travel by the rubber bumpers near the foot pegs. So that you don't need to use a jack here. Loosen the hardware on the top and the bottom. Keep the top hardware for use later. Move the grab handle out of the way if equipped, and you should be able to remove the shock. Install the flat washer, blue Loctite, orient the shock in the correct direction, threaded part towards the tire, install the lower hardware, and then you may need to press down on the swing arm a little bit to get it to line up with the mount at the top. Those rubber bumpers are preventing it from falling any further. Reinstall the stock hardware. No blue Loctite is needed because you have a lock washer. Tighten it down. Torque the bottom to 36 foot-pounds and the top to 18 foot-pounds. For bikes equipped with the 2-into-2 low pipes, you can repeat this process on the left side for the right. If your bike is equipped with a 2-into-1 high pipe, the clearance between the lower bolt and the pipe will interfere with removing the hardware. Start by removing the muffler nuts on the muffler bracket. Loosen the muffler clamp. Loosen the mid-pipe clamp right after the Y on each side, left and right. Loosen the foot peg on the right side, which holds the Y pipe in place. Remove the foot peg and loosen the mounts at the heads on the left and right head pipes. You can now move the pipe side to side and gain enough room to slip the muffler off of the Y pipe. Pull the head pipes forward and they'll slip out of the Y pipe. Move the Y pipe to the side and it should slip down and rest against the ground with enough clearance for you to get to that lower right shock bolt. Remove the upper and lower hardware. Move the passenger grab handle out of the way if the bike is so equipped, and you can access the shock and pull it out. Install the washer for the lower bolt, a little blue Loctite, orient the shock in the correct position, put the lower hardware in first, and slip it into place. Install the upper hardware. Tighten upper and lower, and then torque as before, 36 on the lower, 18 on the upper. And then you can begin to put your exhaust back together. Start by lifting the Y pipe back into place and getting the foot peg started with the appropriate hardware, but just start it loose so you still can wiggle it around a little bit. Now you can put the muffler back in place. Don't forget the aluminum spacers and other hardware that helps retain it. You can take the head pipes and slip them into the Y pipe and put them in position on the head. And then you can get the flanges started on the studs. Just get these started loosely for now. Go ahead and tighten up the flange on the head pipes on both left and right. Then you can go back and tighten up the foot peg. After that, you can move to the muffler and finish tightening up the hardware that holds the muffler to the bracket, and tighten the muffler clamp that holds the muffler to the Y pipe. Tighten your mid pipe clamps on the left and right side. Hook your battery up. Put the side cover back on and lower the bike from the center stand, and you're done.